Hi witches. So we are almost 1/3 of the way through the year, which is insane to me because I honestly didn't think I was gonna make it this far. And I just, whether you've been following along or this is your first video, the topic of like initiation or self-dedication is bound to come up at some point in your witchcraft journey, and I just wanted to address it a little bit. So this is initiation and dedication is not something I see too frequently anymore. It was really big when I first started, but I think it's a really beautiful practice that I don't want to be like lost or forgotten or anything like that. So what is initiation or dedication? It's pretty much what it sounds like. It's you as an individual pledging to follow a specific path or spirituality for a certain period of time. If you're being initiated into a coven, you traditionally have to study their like rules or guidelines for a year and a day, which is kind of like what I'm doing with this project, before you actually become a member of the coven. So it's definitely a big commitment if you're looking at doing that. Obviously, that being said, not all covens do this, and it kind of just depends on what coven you're joining, what tradition you are joining. If you're a solitary witch, you don't necessarily have to do the whole year and a day of study type thing in order to like qualify as a witch. In fact, there's not really a like test you have to take in order to prove that you're a witch. Unless you're being, taught in a specific religious tradition, you generally speaking don't have to like pass a test. Okay, so the way that I did it and the way that I personally recommend is that you choose a day to dedicate yourself to studying for at least a year and a day. And then doing a self-initiation at the end of that year and a day. So I hope that makes sense. Beltane is coming up, so it might be a good day to do that, especially if you've been kind of preparing during Imbolc, during Ostara, during the last couple full moons, if you've been working hard and learning about the craft along with me this year. But you can pick a day or like do a divination to find a day that would work for you. I don't really remember the date I actually dedicated myself for the first time. Like I was 13 years old. It was 10 years ago, to be honest. So yeah, I remember it being kind of like the summertime because like I had the windows open and like the night air was coming in and it was very like mystical and like humid and like crazy. But because I couldn't write anything down, I was afraid to because of like my parents throwing away my book of shadows. I don't know the exact date, which is honestly like kind of like devastating. Like, so like let that be a reminder to you to always write everything down. And it sucks. Like I kind of wish I could have like a day to remember that, but I don't. So, oh well, write everything down, write it all down. Just trust me. So when I first started practicing witchcraft, I actually was practicing Wicca. So, with that, I believe I got like the initiation ritual from like a book by Silver Ravenwolf. It was like from some kind of like questionable source, but to be fair, again, I was like 13 and I have learned since then not to like trust everything I read. But either way, like the intention was there and I think it is valid. I called Circle and I had a traditional Wiccan altar set up. I called on the Morrigan and Herne the Hunter the first time, just like the first time ever to like witness the dedication. But I wanted to make sure that like everyone is clear that like you do not need to work with deities in order to dedicate yourself. I just happened to, so also like calling two gods at once, like maybe like pace yourself. But again, I didn't even really have like access to like forums or the internet. Like I was just like being crazy and like also just believing everything I read in every single like witchcraft book I could get my hands on in the backwoods town that I grew up in. So I listed, like, again, like I said, I didn't write anything down. It was a very like vocal thing. I basically just like listed my intent to the universe and to the gods. I kind of like whispered it to keep it hidden, and I just kind of like outlined like what I wanted to gain and like what my commitment was to learning the craft and everything. And I actually didn't dedicate myself for a year and a day. I did it for like forever, which I think is like, I think at that point in time, I knew that this was going to be like the thing for me. As an aside, I did this initiation ritual skyclad, which means naked if you're not aware. And I felt like it really kind of made the experience a little bit more visceral because it's like you are like naked before the divine, therefore you're not able to hide any parts of yourself. You are like in your most raw and true form. So you don't have to do that. I found it really helped me, and it like elevated the experience, but again, that's completely up to you. Traditionally, like dedication or initiation ceremonies are concluded with "so mote it be" or "as above, so below." So, or just like a combination of the two. As long as your intent is there, it's not really necessary, but it is kind of a cool thing to keep, like traditionally, if you are writing everything down. I do plan on writing down my own new dedication or initiation into my new Book of Shadows as soon as I get it in September. I think that there is something about, you know, carrying on a tradition and like whispering the words that thousands of witches who came before you did, to, like when they claimed the term witch. That is really, really powerful. So I really recommend kind of like writing things down, looking at traditional like formats of initiations or dedications, and using that to kind of write your own. With my new Book of Shadows, I plan on putting my dedication on the first page. If you are going to be like me and I don't know if you guys know this, but when I get my Book of Shadows, I plan to get it at the Renaissance Festival for my birthday. It's like a big thing for me. I don't know why it is, but it is. So once I get it, I'm actually going to start like backtracking and rewatching my old videos and like doing one page of my like Book of Shadows to match one of the videos. So like I'll have a section for herbal correspondences, a section for protection magic, self-care, etc. I think that in my first video I was like, introduce yourself to the universe, and that's kind of the same thing as what I plan on doing with the initiation and dedication type stuff. I feel like it's traditional to put it on the first page, but that could have been like in the fog of everything that I've read in the last 10 years. I might have just like read it once and just assumed it was traditional. So either way, I think it's a great place to put it in the beginning of your Book of Shadows. It's just there, it's like front and center, and I think it's a cool place to put it. So it's completely up to you, but that's what I recommend. So in the aftermath of like all of the recent global lockdowns, some of which are like actually still happening today, you might find yourself like seeking a coven or looking to start a coven, and it is also common for group initiations to occur. So if you are looking to start a coven, you can initiate an entire group of people at once. Y'all could like sit down together and write a dedication ceremony together and perform it. Generally, these kind of outline the goals of the coven. Each individual witch can actually tailor their own dedication to like the coven as a group as well. So it's a very beautiful practice. If I ever start a coven, I definitely want to do something like that. But anyways, it is not, as always, it isn't 100% necessary to do a dedication or self-initiate in order to be a witch. Self-initiation, I should probably just to cap off this whole episode, self-initiation is generally used, like that term is used for like Wicca or like a religious path, versus dedication, which is generally like for non-religious witches. So there's that. Sorry, forgot to like throw that at the beginning. But anyways, you don't have to do either of those things in order to be a witch. I love the tradition and I think it's really cool and wanted to share it with you. So yeah, I hope you guys I hope you guys find some time to write down your own initiation or dedication, or just find some time to sit and meditate and think about what your goals are in your craft, because I think it's always good to kind of come back to that or have like a touch point to come back to. So anyways, I just wanted to share this with you guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.